Welcome back to the Way of Healing.
Hi.
We are joined today by the lovely Nadya Nova of Aquanimity. And Aquanimity is aquatic bodywork and sound healing. And both OJ and I have received sessions from Nadya.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically floated out of the pool back to the car. And then it was like a hovercraft back to our homes. So welcome, Nadya. We're so happy to have you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So talk to us a little bit about Aquanimity and, how did you come to do this work?
Aquanimity is something that I birthed.
I believe you.
It's something that came through after years of Watsu training, and that's just something that came through on its own. And all the different components that are part of it, that are sonic tools, instrumental, vocals. I bring in a lot of different things into the water, are all intuitively guided with each individual session. And it came, it just came. It isn't something that I worked on. It isn't something that I studied. It's just a combination of all things that I've ever experienced and came across that made it out to be what it is today.
Yeah, it's very integrative, and that's part of what makes it so unique, right? The experience of, it's not just Watsu. Watsu on its own is great, right? It's water massage, shiatsu in the water. But adding the sound element in a space where it amplifies sound, right? Mm-hmm. So you're in water. It's so beautiful. And it kind of hacks the system. Mm-hmm. Like it gets into the brain in a way, it gets into the body in a way. And do most of your clients end up closing their eyes for at least part of the session?
Most do.
Right.
Yes.
So it becomes sort of like a sensory deprivation tank almost in a way. It could be, right, for those familiar with a float tank, for example. There's a component of that that's also shared. Have you done float tank, OJ? Mm-hmm. Right. So there was something of a sensation, but it's beautiful to have Nadya, who is this really soft, beautiful presence holding your body and supporting you and moving you through the water. So there's a very deep relaxation that I experienced. You want to add anything?
Yeah, same. And I was telling Nadya, I felt held the entire time, right? And it was almost like I haven't felt held that way since I was a child, almost, where like I felt fully supported. And then there was the sound of the water and the sound of your voice, and then the singing bowls and all of that in the session. Very different than anything I've received before. And powerful, because you're in that position of surrender almost, where I felt like there's layers and layers and layers that I was releasing. It was like, okay, just relax. And then you start going in and you're like, oh, I'm not relaxing at all, right? And then so you release that layer and you think you're relaxed, and it's like, oh, nope, there's still more I can release. And so it was a session of just surrendering and surrendering and surrendering. And yeah, at the time I had a back thing going on where my back was hurting, and I felt all the places I was holding on to tension, not just the back, but all the other places I was holding on to tension because of the back. And I was able to really let that go and give my body the space it needs to heal itself.
When you were talking about all the layers, and I sort of reminisced about my session, I suddenly was like, I want a 20-pack.
Yeah.
I want to come regularly and get this work. It's that healing. It's that because we grow in water. right? Think about being in the womb. Not all of us remember being in the womb or have gone back to do that excavation work, but it's kind of like you're re-entering the womb as an adult, and you're able to really let go of your, again, sympathetic nervous system, and let go of all of the tension that we all carry around from day to day to day to day to day to night to day. So yeah, I'm thrilled that you're doing this work. And guess who else went to IPSB?
Hey.
I know.
Hey.
I know. That's where OJ and I met, massage school. So, let's see.
Did you want to talk a little bit about the process?
Sure.
Like the water and the
happy
whole...
to. Thank you for sharing both of your experiences. It's always really moving for me to hear how this affects people. And if I were to describe it in one word, what I'm doing in the water, I would say it's remothering. And what you described about feeling held and cradled and supported, it really does do that. It really is meant to evoke that pure surrender layer by layer, and it's designed to tune your energetic field and resculpt your nervous system. And it really is that deep, deep, deep relaxation that we're all looking for, because we're constantly in this fight or flight or freeze mode throughout the day and throughout our life without even realizing. We're shallow breathing, we're on the go, there are a million thoughts and millions directions. And so when people come to me in the water, my goal is to have them lose sense of time completely and just pause time so that they can have that time for themselves and have that really profound relaxation and calm. Somebody did actually, when you guys were talking about the float tank, one of the clients said this is like a float tank on steroids, but the good kind, because it is that sensory deprived experience in a way, with your eyes closed and you're floating, there's no gravity. And you have some of the other elements coming in that are soothing to the system as well.
It's also, I think, a really key thing that you're adding nature, right? So
Yes.
a float tank is inside a space. It's a synthetic man-made thing. Nadya is working, for the most part, in outdoor pools, right?
Yeah.
Outdoor settings. So you're getting the breeze. You're getting the dappled sunlight that comes through and moves with you through your session.
Yes.
So there's like added elements
Completely.
of nature, which just, it layers it on in such a beautiful way. It feels like a very carefully crafted meal. Or, yeah, I mean, really, I have truth bumps. You see them?
Yes.
Yeah, they're real.
Delicious meal.
Yeah.
I love it. It is actually something that people comment on a lot, the nature element, because a lot of the times the body moves in and out of the sun. Sometimes you have sun on your face, sometimes you're in the shade. And sometimes the session can go from late afternoon into the evening, so you have that sun going down and stars coming out, and there is a whole journey within that as
Gotta
well.
get a night
So
session.
Yes, no
Yes.
kidding. We
Yeah.
want a retreat weekend with you.
we are doing that.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. And please do come in for the 20 pack, because it really is, for me, about a full journey. Yes, you can come in and have a session and experience what it feels like and relax and, have a beautiful rest of your day. But what Aquanimity wants to do with you and for you is to take you on that journey. Somebody can come in with back pain or shoulder pain or whatever pain. And it's really about looking at the deeper layers of what's behind that pain. And usually it's emotional, energetic, or both. And that gets unraveled within the sessions, within the series, and different things come up. Childhood trauma, water trauma. A lot of people who have had near-death water trauma experience do really well with this work.
Believe it or not, believe it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And there's resistance at first, but after having a session, it's life-changing to people who have had water trauma. I am one of those people, in fact, and this has transformed my life. And this is part of the reason why I do this work, because it's helped me heal in so many ways. And it's constantly evolving. So whatever journey that I'm on, Aquanimity grows and evolves as a result of that. And it just continues to bring in new aspects and new elements of both nature and sonically, and just from experience with clients and different things that come into being. Pregnant women is another.
How fractal, how meta. Water in water, in water, in water.
And
Yeah.
that deeper connection
cool.
with the baby. Yeah.
I want to be a baby in a womb getting Aquanimity when my mom is pregnant with
Right.
me. Yeah.
Just close your eyes. You're there.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
almost, go ahead. Because the water is heated, right? It almost feels like you're not even in water.
Oh, right. That's an important
Yeah.
That is
piece
an
too.
important element. It
Talk about the
takes
water
place,
temperature.
yeah, in the 96-degree pool. So it's a heated pool. You are kind of in amniotic fluid
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, and because you are suspended and in that kind of cradled position, it's very reminiscent of being in the womb. So that definitely has a lot to do with temperature. Definitely helps relax all systems, and it allows for that deeper theta state. Yeah.
Yeah. The singing for me was great. Like your voice and the way I had it was similar to when I did an ayahuasca ceremony, where the ayahuasquera would sing and kind of guide you through that journey via her voice. And it almost felt like you were doing that as well with your singing, where it was like taking me in different places. And as I was going in and exploring, it was like you almost held my hand through these experiences with your voice. And it was cool.
Beautiful. Thank you.
That
You're
is-
welcome.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hybrid of a lullaby and a prayer song that happens. Before I start each session, I ask for guidance from my guides, your guides, and our guides collectively. And so it's for your highest good, for my highest good, and for the highest good of all. And whatever comes through ends up coming through. It's never the same. It's always, I could never repeat the same song ever again. I could never, unless it's, a song, a lullaby that I'm singing, which happens too from time to time. But the songs just come through, just like the movements come through, and just like the instruments and whatever else is meant to be pulled through is all intuitively guided. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just a song you sang, but that's
The
really cool.
Aquanimity theme song. Da-da-da-da-da-da. No. I remember mine. And you keyed into something really, I think, important, which is when you were singing, it was almost like it was the light that helped me through whatever I was experiencing in the moment. And if it were challenging, it was like the constancy of your voice was encouraging me to move through it and to process and to release. So that element of it, that added layer, that beautiful, I don't know, we're making a meal, we're making a phyllo dough, we're making lots of different things with this, but the singing is a really beautiful piece. And she wears a tiara too when she does it. She's a water queen. That's how I think of her.
How did you transition? Did you start with massage and then get into water work, or?
I did. I actually started with energy work first. I've been doing energy work since high school.
Ooh,
And so it's just something that's always been there. Then massage school came. Then I took a trip to Harbin and really fell in love with Watsu. Had a few sessions there and came home looking for a teacher
Mm-hmm.
and found a beautiful teacher and just continued my journey with that. I still do massage. I still do energy work, and I combine it also in the water. And water is just a much better table
Yeah.
because it's three-dimensional. I can access the body from all points. I can move the body in ways that I couldn't move the body
Yeah.
on land. And in a way, those cradling, mothering, nurturing movements couldn't really be replicated on land if you really think about it. So water has a lot to do with how the treatment feels versus being on the massage table, right? And it's also as an element talking about nature and bringing nature, you know, the sun, the stars, the moon, the breeze, and moving in and out of the dappled light. The water itself is that element that creates deeper relaxation, and all of the properties that you may think that water has also adds something to the experience. Water brings things to the surface. Water supports, water floats, water moves. All of the things that you can think about water. Water dissolves. Water evaporates, right? All of those things
So complex.
are actually affecting in some way your experience as well. Maybe they're dissolving your trauma. Maybe they are supporting and creating trust. Trust is a big thing that I hear from people, because it is coming into the water, especially for the first time, not knowing what to expect. All of a sudden you are in a stranger's arms and you're being cradled and lullabied, and it takes a lot of trust and feeling safe to let go in that way. And that's, I feel, is a big honor for me, to feel that people can let go and surrender and trust me in the water for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who better to receive aquatic bodywork from than the water queen?
I don't know too much about Watsu. Did you want to talk about the difference between what you're doing or how you've made it your own versus traditional Watsu?
Sure. So a lot of the flowing movements are definitely inspired by Watsu. It's a hybrid of all of the different modalities that I've tried and whatever else is coming in. Sometimes there's drumming, like hand drumming happening on the body or on the water. It really is what it is, in the moment, whatever is needed. Watsu has a lot of beautiful, it's almost like a water dance. And there's actually a modality called water dance as well. And healing dance. And so a lot of the kind of more of those movements that you've experienced in your sessions are borrowed from Watsu. Then there's just stretching and traction and some massage and some whatever other ways of touch and hands-on that comes in. But yeah, the flowing things are mostly from Watsu.
Very cool.
The sound, I remember you brought sound in towards the end of my session, and it was singing bowls, and I was like trying to discern if you were placing them on my body or if they were in the water floating nearby. And again, it's this experience of when a child is being born, that's when they have the chance to explore their own senses for the first time of the new environment that they're coming into. So the feeling different things and not knowing what they're feeling and not knowing where it's coming from necessarily. There was a sense of that being replicated. And I did want to open my eyes, but not enough to actually open them.
Lovely.
Are you working mostly, like you have different places you're working out of around LA?
Mostly from the pool right behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, I'll go to clients' homes if they have a pool and they feel like they want to be in their space in a more private way. And I'll rent pools for events sometimes. So
Ever thought about doing a retreat somewhere down in like the Gulf where the water
Yes.
is heated?
I was
Yes,
you
absolutely.
mind reader.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could work in the Gulf where it's like 90.
And the waves
Bathtub
are like
water.
subtle and...
Neat. We're going
I
to
would
do
love
that.
to.
That's going to happen.
Have you done that before?
In the open water?
Mhm.
No,
Ooh,
I haven't yet.
Yummy.
Uh-huh.
Or hot springs?
Hot springs for sure.
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah. Hot springs is actually the ideal environment, I would say, because it's also healing waters.
Yeah.
Right.
Mineral. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great.
That makes
Well,
And
sense.
naturally warm. You don't need to heat. No
Right.
chemicals. all of
Oh,
that.
that's
Yeah.
wow. Yay. Yummy. Okay, this needs to come to the front burner. I'm telling you people, that's how profound this is. When you were talking about it's hard to replicate what can happen in water on a table. I was thinking to myself, we try in craniosacral therapy. We try, but it requires many hands.
It
Right?
does.
When I'm working with my teacher, Hugh, in Ashland, Oregon, there will very often be 4 people on one, working with one person. And there's, a full body unwinding where they come off the table and they come to the ground.
I have done that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So it's as close as I can think of in terms of, without the water element.
Mhm.
But yeah, the water element really is something so beautiful. And I do some work in water with clients. So I love it. We're going to the Gulf.
Yes, please let us know. I'm there.
Golf bound.
Yeah.
Do you have other people that do it with you, or have you taught anyone what you're doing? Is it just you?
Not yet, but it's something that's in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about LA is like just about all year round, like you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in the Gulf.
Or in the Gulf.
My parents live on the Gulf of Mexico. So
Do they?
yeah, we're coming, Mom and Dad.
Where?
Ready the home. There's a pool too. Really beautiful pool. Heated.
Nice.
They're not in...
They're in Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, OJ. I'm Casey. Is the sun okay? I know it's starting to creep over on you. Are you
It's
okay?
good. I love the sun.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Sun
half full.
goddess.
Sun goddess,
No,
water
she's
queen.
the water queen. Okay, serious.
How did you transition from whatever you were doing before into like healing work? Was it... I know you've been doing energy work since you were in high school, but was that your like go-to thing since coming out of high school?
No,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't always. I feel like I've had actually quite a few detours along the way. They've been 3 or 4 career changes to get me into my gift,
Mm-hmm.
into the place where I feel at home. But they were all worth the ride,
Yeah.
all the detours. Yes. So,
They weren't detours. They were just the path.
or that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've done photography, fashion design, digital, and now I'm back in the healing arts. And even throughout the different detours,
The route.
The
that you've
route.
taken along the route.
healing work was always there.
Mm-hmm.
I was that girl at the dinner party who would stop somebody from taking Tylenol and just find pressure points. I didn't really know what I was doing. That was before massage school. And that's actually what motivated me to do massage school, is because I realized that I was doing something and I was able to help people, but I wasn't really knowledgeable in anatomy and I wasn't really sure exactly what I was doing. I just wanted to know more. And so it was always something that was very much present in my life, but it wasn't something that I did professionally.
Mm-hmm. Do you incorporate crystals into your Aquanimity sessions at all?
Why, yes, I do, OJ.
Yeah. So these crystals are all yours, and then all around this entire property, there's crystals everywhere. They're gorgeous, huge
nice rocks.
crystals.
I love crystals.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've always gravitated towards crystals, and it's definitely something I use in my practice on the table. Maybe not so much in the water, but around the water, for sure. They are powerful energy healers.
Mhm. And for people that just aren't familiar with crystals and what they do, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I don't have necessarily that much to say about them other than they hold energy. They have different properties. We have a rainbow obsidian in the middle here, and it's a really grounding and protective stone. And then clear quartz on either side of that are amplifiers of something of an energy that's already there. It tends to amplify, and it's also a powerful healing stone.
Positive and negative.
It could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're tools, they're friends, they are important in my life, for sure. Yeah.
Right, is your tiara clear quartz?
It is.
How lovely is that?
Yeah.
If you're not watching this video, watch this video just so you can see
This
Nadya's tiara.
In the sun now, being accented.
Right, it's getting charged.
Mm-hmm.
So as you think about Aquanimity and, what you would like for it to grow into, is it something where you do want to start to obtain students so that you can teach this work and that they can then take it into their communities and share it?
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the heated pool is a big part of it, but have you ever done it in a non-heated pool? Does it have...
I have, and it was wildly uncomfortable.
'Cause it's
For
so
both
cold.
people.
For both,
Mhm.
as a giver and as a receiver. It's just, you can't fully relax. And the pool wasn't even that cold. Maybe it was 88. It just wasn't, it really does need to be body temperature. So 96, 97, 95 is okay if the outside temperature is, and you'd be surprised how much 1 degree really does make that difference. It's kind of like on the massage table, you notice your body temperature drops and you get cooler and you want a blanket or you want something, a heating pad or something to keep you warm. Same thing happens in the water. Because you're so relaxed, the body temperature drops, and you really, to receive in that very surrendered way, really need to be warm and comfortable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too much of a shock, right, to the system. A little bit. Like, you can't
really let go. You're shivering. You're waiting.
It takes me back to my days as a swim teacher when I would have to be in the water for like 4 hours straight. And I was only in up to my, my waist or whatever. And I would just get so cold by the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with the ocean. You go to the ocean and it's hot outside, but you stay in the water too long and it's like you're freezing.
Oh, but the ocean is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mama Ocean.
Yeah.
Are you on Instagram?
I am.
Yeah.
At Aquanimity.
Oh, go figure. Okay. So people can find you that way.
Mm-hmm. Or on Facebook. Same way.
Aquanimity. So it's like equanimity with an A. Aquanimity.
That's what I thought of when you first said it. I used to do Brian Kest's
Yoga?
DVDs, and he says equanimity all the time,
Does he?
like repeatedly.
Huh.
Yeah, and so when he said Aquanimity, I was like, oh, Brian Kest. And for those of you who don't know, Brian Kest is like one of the big LA yoga instructors that first brought power yoga into LA. And
Yeah, he's affected a lot of people.
a lot of people.
I'm curious. I think that there's a lot of people out there that have water trauma or fear of water. I mean, like an absurd amount of people, given the fact that we grow in water. Can you talk a little bit about maybe somebody coming who might be like super scared and is holding tension or has a hard time letting go? Again, this is where repeated sessions with you is going to be the most beneficial, because Rome wasn't built in a day, right? We can't expect to heal a traumatic thing that you've been carrying for decades of your life in one session. I mean, yeah, we all hope for metamorphosis in some way, but either your experience with your own therapy and subsequent healing, or maybe an experience of a client that you feel like you can share their story somewhat. But any experience of like, for somebody that holds trauma around water, how they can come to you and how it can be sort of it can transmute that.
Absolutely. So, like I was saying earlier, it is very much intuitively guided. So there isn't a formula, or there is to a degree some structure. I usually start with an intake form to find out what's going on physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, to get a sense of what is needing to be addressed and what needs to be prioritized. In some cases with severe water trauma, it may need to start with just putting your toes in the water, or with just, starting to walk around the perimeter of the pool and really just taking it very slowly. In other cases, if that connection and trust is imminently there, then it can go straight into a floating session, and that's happened before. And it's about the willingness and the openness, really, of the person, not here to persuade or convince anybody or speed up their pace of healing any more than they're wanting to.
That's important. That's what makes her a good healer. She's not going to force anything or coerce or, this is why I wanted you to speak to it, because there are people who are so afraid to even get in the water. But Aquanimity is a tool that is so flexible and so beautiful. And like Nadya is such a good reader of where you're at, that she can really just hold your hand through the process, and she doesn't need you to be anything other than you are.
And Aquanimity is its own entity, is its own energy, is its own being in a way, whether you believe that or not. And maybe that sounds funny, but it really has its own energetic blueprint where whoever comes, I'm just a conduit. Nobody heals, at least from my belief, nobody heals anybody. We're just, like Ram Dass eloquently puts, we're just walking each other home. We're just being instruments and guides for each other to do our own healing. And so when somebody comes in, it's because they feel that I'm their guide in some way. It's funny because we are drawn to each other for those reasons when we're ready. Somebody was referred to me, and it was for energy work, actually. I don't remember if I told you the story. And they asked me if I was good. and what kind of experience I had, and what, my resume, the whole thing, right? Because they had a good experience with an energy healer and they had a negative experience with the subsequent energy healer. And so they needed to gauge how good I was. And I just told her that it's not so much about experience, and it's not about how long or what education or how many clients you've helped. It's really about that connection. If we connect, then I can be that guide for you. If we don't connect, it doesn't matter if I've had 20, 30, 40 lifetimes of doing this work. I'm just not your person.
Totally. The resonance, right? And I think it's important too with doctors and medical professionals, finding someone that you vibe with and that you trust. Because if there's a doctor that you're not connecting with that just says, here, take this pill, and you're like, I don't even know why I'm taking this pill, and that compassion piece that we talked about isn't there, then can that healing really happen, right? Do you really trust this person that's taking care of you? And when I was in a healing clinic, we experienced that a lot. It was like, especially when I first started, well, what's your background? What do you do? What do you know? How have you helped people? And I found, for me at least, when people start to ask these things, you can entertain these questions, but you really have to look at, okay, what's underneath this question that they're asking, right? How much trauma have they had that has them guarded, right? And can you break through that trauma? Can you get through these layers where they can then finally trust you? Because a lot of people don't even want to hear your resume. They're really trying to gauge whether or not they can trust you.
It's safety, right? In the end,
Totally.
It's creating that container where the person feels safe enough to share and to release and purge and clear whatever it is that they came to clear. Because that can look very messy sometimes. And to do it in the presence of another is very healing, and to be received and seen and gotten in that way without judgment is all what we're ultimately looking for. And so we're looking for that safety.
Yeah.
To really feel like, does this person feel safe for me to just get completely unglued?
Yeah. And that's the importance of trying different things, right?
Yeah.
Because the modality itself is less important than the healer that you're with, in my opinion. It's like,
exactly,
all modalities work to a degree, and they work to the degree to which you let it work, right? Someone can heal completely from back pain from just a quote unquote normal massage, where for another person, massage might just help them feel good, but it might not actually be healing them. And I think if you open yourself up to what's out there and you start to explore and play with different things, Casey was saying on a previous podcast before, you really start to tune into yourself. Right. And the more and more you surrender to someone else, I feel like the more in tune you become with your inner self, and that inner self is what's going to really guide you to finding the healing. So I think it's great with the Aquanimity is there's a lot of surrender there. There's a lot of introspection, because you feel like you don't have to hold on to anything, and you're able to really dive deep inside within that short amount of time, right? At that hour, I think we did a little over an hour long session, felt like hours. But it wasn't to the point where it's like, okay, is this over yet? It was like, yeah, keep going. Wait, we're stopping. Nope, don't stop. Keep going. I don't want to get out of the water. And so it was that type of experience where time almost stopped. And
yay.
Yeah.
That was her
mission accomplished.
That was her mission at the beginning of all of this. She wants to feel her clients
suspended.
To feel like that.
Yeah.
And when we think about the other ways that we spend an hour of time, right? I mean, you do an hour putzing around the house, like organizing, dusting, washing the dishes. You do an hour of TV, Sometimes you binge watch 5 hours. Sometimes, I mean, it's like an hour of online shopping, an hour of trolling social media, right? But this hour that you will carve out for yourself will have such a profound impact on you, and it will deepen your experience of yourself and the way that you will relate in the world. So it's an hour well spent.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that are into meditation, in meditation, for me, in my experience, I feel like sometimes it takes time to break through those layers to get into that theta state. But I feel like whenever I receive work from someone else and you guys are co-creating that space, it's like almost immediately I can tap into theta and really just drop in and let go. So in a sense, it's a very powerful form of meditation, receiving work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a plunge.
There's definitely a
You're
meditative
plunging.
component to this work and just being in the water and floating.
Right. And then you
Yeah.
incorporate with the singing and the bowls. It's like a body work session and an aqua session and a sound therapy, sound healing session all in
one.
one. It's a really cool experience. I wish we could have like B-rolled some of it. That
We
would've-
will.
Well, yeah, we'll have to come back when we're making our promo video for the retreat in the Gulf.
Hey.
And we'll have some demo sessions.
Mhm.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just to put it out there, we want to eventually do retreats where we have a bunch of healers of different modalities come together and offer their services for people to experience over the course of a weekend or a week. And
Explore the things that call to you,
Mhm.
and no harm, no foul. It's an invitation to get to know yourself and this planet a little bit deeper in what have been, ancient traditions. And they're in so many ways, so many of these modalities are very intuitive and rooted in natural wisdom. And we're just sort of bringing that back to the surface.
Yeah.
It's outside of ourselves.
What's the history of Watsu? How long has it been around?
It's been around since the 80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Was that around the time where heated pools became a thing?
It actually started at Harbin, where it's hot springs. So Harold Dull, who was a Zen shiatsu master and studied Zen in Japan, brought it to Harbin and incorporated it in the water.
Cool.
Yeah.
Harbin just reopened
It did.
not that long ago. And a friend of mine, my friend from the Bay, who I was telling you about earlier, was just there 2 days ago. And he's like, it's trippy. It's trippy to be there after it had burned down in a fire, one of the fires. Harbin Hot Springs. Our teacher, Lori, used to teach there. Yeah.
Cool. Is it like a healing community out there?
It is. Yeah, they offer a variety of classes. They teach Watsu. They do Watsu training there. There's yoga. It is. You can come and stay.
It's a retreat center. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to check it out. I
Yeah.
haven't been yet.
I haven't been to a lot of places.
That goes for all of us.
I haven't been to Esalen.
It's worth the trip.
I know,
Yeah.
me
Beautiful.
Really?
Nadia, what else do you want to share? What are we leaving out? What comes to mind or to heart?
I guess something that's come up in conversation for me while we're talking is that when we heal something within ourselves, we heal it in the world. So as we grow this community and as we branch out, it ripple effects out into the world. And that's a beautiful thing. And thanks to the way of healing and you guys disseminating the messages of all of these beautiful healers that you are interviewing, it reaches more people. And just like you were saying, all these different modalities exist and they all work in their own way. They all have their own potency and their power, and they all work for different people.
Mhm.
And ultimately the goal is the same, right? We all want to delayer all of the grit that's been layered on since birth by conditioning and programming. And so whatever way that works for you, for me, for you, there are different ways. And so the more people know about these different things, the better. And the way we find to heal ourselves and each other and the world in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I love that Pablo, I don't know if it's a Pablo Picasso quote, but it's often attributed to him or Shakespeare, that the meaning of life is to find your gift and the purpose of life is to give it away. So
Beautiful.
that's what we're all here to do.
Amen, sister. I just want to leave it at that.
Mic drop. At that
Yeah.
quote.
Mic drop. Where I think that we should leave it at that. Aquanimity, Nadya Nova, thank you so much.
You want to spell it out? Just for people that are looking for you?
Just so we can keep hearing your voice.
So just like equanimity, but with an A in front of instead of the E, Aquanimity, AQUANIMITY.
That was a test of her. That was your spelling bee. Aquanimity, noun. Great. Well, exciting. Look forward to continuing on this path with you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for coming on. And thanks for our sessions.
Yeah.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
Thanks, audience.